And we are live. The game has finished. West Ham United 2, Sheffield United 0. In what was a comfortable victory for West Ham, it has to be said. I think West Ham really not getting out of, I was going to say second gear. Second gear's probably stretching it. Maybe West Ham not getting out of third or fourth gear, something like that. Goals from Jarrod Bowen and Tomas Soucek. Sounds a little bit familiar, doesn't it, from our rescue season when they were both brought in January. And it was just really comfortable performance. So I'm just going to take you through the instance in the game and a few of the performances. But before I do, it's probably worth saying that I don't really, let's be honest, Sheffield United were really poor. I mean, I felt that was a really bad team. As far as I could see, Alphonse Areola only had one save to make. No saves in the first half, as far as I can remember. One save, a point-blank save, actually, had to be on his guard to make the save in the second half. But I think that was it. One shot, proper shot on target during the whole game, and West Ham sort of had plenty. I think there was a certain level of endeavour from Sheffield United, and Sheffield United had certainly come out in the second half an awful lot better than they were in the first. But by that time, West Ham were on tick-over, absolute tick-over by that point. But anyway, West Ham started really brightly. The intent was there from the start. West Ham took the kick-off. It was played back to Kurt Zouma, who launched the ball forward. It was really obvious. We got a throw in, and then from that throw in, Tomas Soucek had taken a weird position, which was actually off the pitch, and then he ran onto the pitch to try and get a flick on header. It was really clear if you watch the first 60 seconds of that game that the plan was an aerial assault. That was it. We're gonna get an aerial assault here. And whilst it actually, funny enough, it did turn out that we did get an awful lot of headers. In fact, I lost count the amount of times Tomas Soucek was not necessarily free in the box, but winning headers in the box. We had a lot of headers on their goal. But funny enough, it wasn't the Battle of Britain which actually eventually won through. It was a couple of goals on the deck in this instance. But we had some good chances, some really good chances early on in the game, actually. Antonio spurned a really decent chance. Then there was Antonio set Tomas Soucek up with a Antonio drifted wide. Soucek was in the box, which was, as I say, clearly part of the tactics. And the ball came over from Antonio, really good delivery. And Tomas Soucek launched it over sort of high and handsome, high and ugly, really. I wouldn't be surprised if it hit Gio sitting in the seat. But anyway, it wasn't to be. I didn't think we laboured very much at the start. It felt like a goal was coming, and a goal did eventually come. I think the first goal was on the 25th minute, something like that. And the second one was 37, 38 minutes, something like that. First goal was by Jarrod Bowen. Really, this was an excellent goal by any metrics. This was an excellent goal. And it started off with Vladimir Coufal, as I remember it, played a sort of little 1-2 with Edson Alvarez, who just one touch, really nice one-touch passing for this goal, actually. And it went back out to Coufal, played it back inside to Tomas Soucek, who played a really nice ball. Really nice ball to Coufal, who put over a cross along the ground. It was a more of a pulled back pass, really, but he delivered the ball from wide. It was his assist, absolutely intended. So I think that might be his third assist in a row in Premier League games, unless I've got me sums wrong on that one. He found Jarrod Bowen, who had moved into really good position, a central position. Jarrod Bowen finished really smartly. And I've got to say, Jarrod Bowen was in fine form in this game. I felt last week he was recovering. Do you remember he was recovering from there was a virus or a sickness or something like that. So, and I felt it. I felt that was very much the case. Not today. I thought he looked sharp, and I felt he looked back to his best, and as much as he needed to be to play against this Sheffield United team, as I say, who were really poor. Jarrod Bowen maybe could have had a hat-trick today, actually. I think that's probably fair to say that. The second goal was really interesting. I'll say about 37 minutes, 38 minutes, something like that. It was Emerson, who again had a good game. Another player that's had a very good game today and just keeps getting better. He's like a fine wine, fine Italian wine. Well, the grapes are in Brazil, but the wine was made in Italy. Let's put it that way. He won the ball back and anticipated an error from the guy who was wide right from Sheffield United. And he played the ball inside. And I thought he played the ball inside really well. And Antonio, I've got to be honest, I thought Antonio was probably lining himself to have a shot. And, well, if I thought Antonio was lining himself up to have a shot, I'm sure the Sheffield United defence were thinking Antonio was lining himself up to have a shot. But he didn't, because it was actually, there was a sort of overlapping run from Tomas Soucek, who was running from midfield to become the furthest forward player for West Ham. Antonio actually didn't shoot. He shifted the ball, and it was a good pass, by the way. It was a good pass into the path of Soucek, but I don't know if Soucek overran it, or maybe the pass just, wasn't exactly precise. It seemed to get caught a little bit behind, a little bit under his feet. But I am going to say this. I'm talking about Tomas Soucek here. Tomas Soucek moved the ball really quickly between his feet. A quick-footed shuffle, if there is such a thing. I don't know. It's more of a dance move than a football term, isn't it? But he did a little shuffle with his feet, swapped the ball between feet, finished really neat and low with his left foot. I mean, it was good. It was skillful stuff. I was just about to say, you wouldn't have been surprised if you've seen Ronaldinho do it. You would, because Ronaldinho's probably about 80 now. But you know what I'm saying? It was good, really, really good bit of skill, actually. And West Ham finished the half really, really strongly, in the ascendancy. And I think, for many of us, we were probably thinking at that point, oh, how much is this going to be? It was a good performance, a really, really good performance. Got to half time, and I wouldn't say we came out massively lethargic, because I don't think West Ham really stretched themselves massively in the first half. It has to be said. I think we played within ourselves. As I said, third, fourth gear, something like that. You definitely felt like there was more to go. But it sort of gets to the second half, and maybe we weren't attacking as much. So maybe not quite with the same intensity. But Sheffield United had clearly we're going for it. And I don't know if it was just pride, or maybe it was the 8-0 defeat against Newcastle or something like that. But they really went for it, and they had a go. And that didn't really manifest itself in lots of shots. I think, as I say, they had one proper shot on target. It might have been another one which is technically on target, but they had one proper attempt on target. That was going to come a few minutes later, and it was a header. It was a header from really, really close range. And I think one of the commentators said that they didn't think that Areola knew too much about it. I think he did. I think he very much saved it. He seems to get both hands to it, sort of flapped it, punched it out, and did well, actually, because it was a short range. The two people, the striker and Areola, are about that far apart, so he didn't have much time to react. But I thought he did really well. Blocked off any angle for the Sheffield United player, whose name escapes me. That was it. That was to the extent in which they really threatened. I think what the thing was that West Ham didn't really go on to threaten massively after that. Although I would imagine if you looked at the stats, you'd probably see that Nathan Gerd had a good chance. He also had a good chance in the first half, by the way. Had forced a really good save from the goal. Actually forced a clearance off the line in the first half, Nathan Gerd. Now I remember it was a corner from James Ward-Prowse. Bowen's header, as I say, could have scored a hat-trick. Good save from the goalkeeper, then it ricocheted out. Nathan Gerd sort of headed it back towards goal, and someone cleared it off the line. So, but that was in the first half. The second half stats will probably tell you that we still had chances, and it was another header from Tomas Soucek, certainly, and there were other chances as well, even until sort of quite late in the game. Bowen as well, very late in the game, possibly could have scored from a James Ward-Prowse cross, but it was comfortable. I mean, what can I say? It was comfortable. There were a couple of subs made, actually 4 subs made. There's only really 2 of them were talking about, because 2 of the subs who were Mavropanos and Fornals were on for seconds. I don't know, 90 seconds, something like that. But it was Mohamed Kudus and Said Benrahma. Kudus came on for Alvarez, who had played well, by the way. As I say, was nicely involved in that first goal on some one-touch football. But he got a yellow card, and he's going to get a few yellow cards. He'll get a sending off for West. There's no way Edson Alvarez goes his West Ham career without getting a red card. But he got taken off, which is probably the sensible thing to do. And also Antonio got taken off as well. So it's Kudus and Benrahma on in the 71st minute. Alvarez and Antonio. Mixed bag from Antonio, truth be known. I do think he set up Soucek really well for a good chance. And he was did really well for Soucek's goal as well. So Soucek could have had 2 goals today at the hands of Antonio. Realistically, Soucek could have had 4 or 5 goals today. But Antonio, mixed bag. There were some errors and some clumsiness as you would expect. But there was some talk as well when he went off that he might have had a little strain or something. I don't know. Just sort of watch your space. Keep your eye on your favourite news sites and social media and whatnot to find out about that. Hopefully he's not injured at all. Bowen was excellent in the game. Talk about a few players now. Bowen was excellent, as I mentioned earlier on in the video, sort of back up to his best. I didn't. Paquetá started on the left. Didn't feel that he was necessarily at his best. Flashes, but not outstanding. Ward-Prowse. I can't believe I'm saying this. No assist today. No assist. He's never another free kick. Not his fault he didn't get an assist. But, on a play, I think both Bowen and Jarrod should both have scored. So it's just gonna keep happening. He's gonna keep putting the ball on a plate. We'll get to Soucek I'll get to Soucek in a bit because he was my man of the match, quite frankly. So there you go. Alvarez, I've already discussed. Emerson played ever so well. He seems to have everything covered today. Linked so well with Paquetá down at left hand side. Paquetá moved inside later on. He, as I say, was pivotal in West Ham's second goal. I thought there was a point where the Sheffield United striker Ollie McBurney, they thought they'd had a shot. Wow, that's the worst shot I've ever seen in my life. But then actually on closer inspection, after you'd seen a couple of replays, it became apparent that it was actually been deflected by a really good intercepting sort of tackle from Emerson. Emerson attacked well today and he defended really well today. And I thought he was really good. And I just keep saying this, really. No mistake from Jarrod, which you'd be really pleased to hear about that. And, actually, funny enough, it was actually Zuma that made a mistake in this game, but they didn't score because Jarrod came in very early in the game, made a slide-in block, which was really, really good. Areola I've already told you in this video what Areola had to do. That was it. There was nothing for him to do. They were never in the game. Sheffield United were never in the game, and they were a very, very poor team. And I've said it free off. I'm not trying to stick the boot in. I'm really not. But they were poor, and I think we probably should put that into context there with this one. But as the old adage goes, you can only beat what's in front of you. And I thought TSC were quite poor really as well. We beat them, and obviously Lincoln City, we're going to beat them as well. So there you go. Look, what can you do? That's very un-West Ham, actually. We've beaten the poor teams and lost to the good ones in Liverpool and Man City. So, pretty damn efficient day at the office. Look, there was lots of talk about Kudus and Soucek, a lot of it by myself as well. I totally understood why David Moyes would play Soucek. The irony is he didn't head the ball in. He actually, he was actually pretty damn good on the deck. So he did fine. I mean, David Moyes definitely justifies his decision there. I will mention Kudus because he did come on for a 71st minute. When he gets in, he will stay. I'm pretty sure he'll stay in. I'm not necessarily saying it will be at the expense of Soucek, but he looks dangerous. Really, really dangerous. Very quick feet. And you know what was weird? He was brought on at the same time as Benrahma. And Kudus is fast and direct, and he makes Benrahma look slow and indecisive by comparison. Benrahma could, but let's be absolutely fair. It was Benrahma that put over. It's not like Benrahma has no end product. He put over the cross for Soucek to score the winner against Lincoln City. I'm just saying in this particular game that they really did look like a stark difference between the two players. That's for sure. Man of the match, as I said, I'm going to give it to Tomas Soucek. Really, really good performance, I thought. And he was heavily involved in the first goal. Without his pass, that goal doesn't happen. His pass out to Soucek was really nicely weighted. But he scored a really good goal. Anyone else, I'll tell you what, Mo Salah scores that goal, they're all doing their nuts about it, right? They really would be. He scored a really good goal, Soucek. I thought he was dominant, completely dominant in the air. Thought he played really well in midfield. And well done, Tomas Soucek. I thought he played well, and it turns out it was the right decision, I guess, by David Moyes. At times, at times it wasn't particularly cavalier, and I think you could probably tell that in terms of there's not a lot sometimes for the crowd attending to get behind. But you know what? It's all about the wins. And when you look at some of the other results, you know, it does not look too bad. And, you know, 13 points on the board now after 7 games. That's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Not a classic. You're not going to be rewatching it. If you've already watched it, you're not going to go and rewatch it later on. If you're at the game, you're probably, if you've recorded it, does anyone record anything anymore? You're probably not going to go home and watch the recording. Yeah, there's probably better things to do for the rest of your day. But it was efficient. It was good. David Moyes had rested the players for the previous game, left a lot of players in London for the trip to Lincoln City, and with us playing on Saturday, we now got a big gap until Thursday. So yeah, hopefully everybody's fit and ready, and I'm sure he'll play a stronger team this time in Europe than he did on the last occasion against TSC Bakatopola. I think the only thing we probably need to concern ourselves with, if you like, is whether Michail Antonio is fit or not. I'm not sure. It was more the commentator saying that the commentator saw that Michail Antonio, when he went off and got substituted, he was complaining about something. I didn't see it myself. I don't know, but obviously the commentator's in the stadium, and I'm not. So I don't know. I think that's the only thing that we really need to worry about. I should probably tell you towards the end of the game, actually, if you don't know, and this is your only point of contact with the game. I know a lot of people would have seen it, but just in case you're watching this review and you weren't at the game and you didn't watch it on TV, at the end, when Antonio went off, David Moyes initially put Bowen up front. That didn't last for long. Bowen very quickly moved back to the right. And then you found Kudus in the middle. That switched again very quickly, not for long, for seconds, really, not minutes, moments. And then Paquetá was basically playing as the number 9. I don't know if you call him a false 9. What do you call it? Pretend 10? Whatever it is, I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. He was a floater. He's a floating number 2, and it was weird. So it almost felt as if Moyes was trying stuff out. But at Danny Ings, or Granny Dings, as someone called him earlier, he didn't come on at all, which just made it a little bit of a shame, actually. I didn't feel, I'm not moaning about that. 2-0 win, well done. It was the right decision. I wanted to pick Kudus. Do you know what? He picked Soucek, and Soucek's my man in the match. I'm not going to mark him down because I wouldn't have started him myself. I do feel, though, that it was probably an opportunity missed with Mabama, bearing in mind towards the end of the game, David Moyes was scratching around, trying to look for ways that he might sort of be able to deal with the loss of Antonio. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe Antonio's absolutely fine, and he didn't. I didn't notice that he limped off. So he was limping though. Was Kurt Zouma again? I guess there's no problem. He just does, doesn't he? You know, just always injured. But there you go. 2-0 win. Decent enough. Job done. Efficient performance. You know, we're not going to be first on. I think we all know who's going to be first on Match of the Day, don't we? Aston Villa probably. But we're not going to be first on Match of the Day, that's for sure. But you know what? I think a job well done. Anyway, do you know what? I do like it. A 3 o'clock kickoff. I would have loved to have gone today, but actually I've got the kids and Gio's gone today, so it's my turn next time. I do love a 3 p.m. kickoff. I really do. And because particularly when you win, because you sort of get to enjoy the rest of your weekend, don't you? 3 p.m. Saturday kickoff. That's good. You've got the whole Saturday evening to enjoy it. We're going to enjoy Sunday. Not worry about anything else. Put it all to bed. And I guess I'll see many of you on Thursday evening.